Good morning. It's morning here in California. So good morning to everybody. We're waiting for people to be admitted into the meeting here. So we're going to wait just another minute or two as everybody gets connected. As people trickle in, I'm going to get us started. And I'll start with some introductions, starting with myself. Nice to see everybody and see your square on the screen. My name is Jessica Record, and I'm the Executive Director of EduConnect USA. So EduConnect USA is Alliant's official international recruitment partner. So what we do is we provide the extra layer of assistance for our international students. We know that when you are looking to study in the United States, there's a lot of factors that you need to consider. The university, of course, is the big one and the program that you're attending. And so that's what we're going to talk about today. But there's also all the other things. So the admission process, what an American university is looking for in your motivation letter, your essay, how to go through that process, who you need to talk to. And EduConnect is the extra layer of support to guide you from the time where you're still asking questions about the program. Maybe you're not sure it's the right one for you, all the way through the admissions process, making sure that you have all the documents you need, they're the correct documents, making sure that you get through the admissions process, and then assistance with the visa process as well. So making sure you're able to get your visa dates on time, making sure that you feel prepared for your interviews. And then following that, making sure that you have everything you need for the enrollment, final enrollment, and the arrival in California. So that's our role. So whenever you see EduConnect USA, know that you're working with Alliant. We work hand in hand with Alliant. You'll see usually multiple people copied on your emails. On the screen here is Roella. She's the one who works with all of our Masters of Science students. And I know a lot of you have already spoken with her, and she's fantastic. She can't be on this call today, but if you have any questions about your particular admission file or anything like that, she is the best person to reach out to. And she works directly with Vivian in the Alliant admissions and the whole team at Alliant. So please, if you have any questions, feel free to reach out. That's what we're here for. And that's a little bit about me. And I also want to introduce the more important people on the call here today, the reason that you're here. So we have Dr. Aaron Wester, who is on the call here. He's the program director of all the Masters of Science programs. And so he'll be able to tell you a bit more about what they are and what they have to offer. And then we have the dean as well, the dean of the California School of Management and Leadership. Dean Dr. Kumar is on the call as well, and she's going to tell you a little bit more about Alliant. And then our host too, that's making sure everything runs smoothly and putting up the slides for you is Radhika, and she is our social media coordinator for EduConnect and our marketing strategist. So if you are following EduConnect on social media or on LinkedIn, all the posts that you see, the interviews with the professors, the testimonials from the students, those are all Radhika's efforts. So make sure if you haven't been following those that you do, because I know it's really powerful to hear from the actual students that are attending the program. And that's really Radhika's goal, is to make sure that they're sharing their experience with you as well. So with that being said, I'm going to step back and let the stars of the show take it away.
All right, let me start. So from our side, good morning, everyone. But from your side, I know that everyone is in different time zones. So I will say welcome, and we are very, very excited and happy to meet you here. Glad that you could join. As Jessica said, we will tell you a little bit about the university and a bit about the programs. Dr. Wester is the program director for all our MS programs, and so he will tell you more about that. Let me tell you a little bit about the university and the school. The university is Alliant International University, And the school, the business school, is California School of Management and Leadership. As you can see, the MS programs are technology driven, but it's management of technology sector, management of technology, different industries within that field. So it is not the computer science, but it is something that is much more important, much more prevalent, goes through the fabric of just about any company, any division, and any department, any industry. So today's topic is to tell you about the university and the school and the MS programs. Alliant International University is been around for many, many years, and I'll tell you the history a little bit more in the next slide. But I wanted to tell you what we stand for. Why is that important for you? Why is that important for anyone who graduates from here, and what you will learn when you are here? So the first item here is on your screen. Alliant is education for professional practice and practical training throughout your program. In the classroom, in the courses, you get a lot of knowledge, a lot of the models and the theory behind how to manage, behind the technology, behind the systems, analytics, data, and that makes you a very, very successful professional after you graduate. But throughout the program, right from day one to the end of the program, you are also being trained in a practical training site. That could be a project, that could be a client engagement, that could be a client site. But the practical training is something that we think is the other half of the equation. So there is the classroom training, classroom knowledge, classroom lectures. That's one half, and practical training is the other half. Practical training you can do throughout the program. Very important to know, it's not in one course, it's not in one semester. It is throughout the program from day one till the time you graduate, because we think that these two keep you very ready to contribute and be successful in the program. Some of you may have heard the word CPT, which stands for Curricular Practical Training. It is essentially the same thing, practical training, but it's called CPT because it runs through the curriculum, again, from day one to the end of the curriculum. Very important to remember that, and that is something that we provide because that's what is good for the students, for the alumni, for the graduates, and we are here so that we do things and train you in ways that make you successful. Scholarship is what happens in the classroom. There is study there. There is research there, and so that is very important to also know. That's a second important aspect of this. And the third item is also actually very, very important: multicultural and international competence. You all will agree that today is a very global society. It doesn't matter which country you work in, which country you're based in, your team is always going to be multicultural and international. And that team could be the team you work with in your organization. It could be your customers. It could be those who you are raising money from. That means controlling the growth of your company and your career in every which way. It also, not only are we getting you competence, Chitra, I'll give you just a minute. So wait for 1 minute to ask that question. But so multicultural international is good that we give you the competence for that. In addition, it is really important to know that you are in a comfort zone. When there are people around you who give importance to multicultural international, you can be yourself. You can strengthen all your skills. You can ask questions. You can easily make friends. You can make lifelong colleagues, network, and so on. So that is really, really important in a university that you study in. And community engagement, because it increases your network, whether it be the industry, nonprofit organizations, corporations, companies, other networks, associations. So that is really very, very important. So usually I ask to wait till the very end for questions, but one of you, Chitra, I think, has written that can she ask a question now? So this one question, let's ask this question now, and then the rest we will save for the end. Yes, Chitra, go ahead. Are you going to type, or are you going to take yourself off of mute and ask? Maybe Chitra, you want to wait till the end then? We don't hear your question and do not see you typing in the chat box. So perhaps we'll come back. I only have a few slides. I will talk short, and then Dr. Wester will talk, but we will absolutely leave a lot of time for Q&A, questions and answers at the end. In fact, a very big agenda item today is to hear from you and answer your questions. So certainly there'll be a lot of time. So save your question, Chitra, and say everyone else also save your questions, but start writing them in the chat already, just in case you forget your question. Okay, so we'll come back to the questions. So a little bit about history of Alliant. You always want to be in a university that has a long history. Universities that opened 2 years ago, 5 years ago, there are so many issues with those universities. A, you do not know how long they will survive. You will continue working and having your resumes and getting promotions for the next 30, 40 years, all the way till you learn, till you work in your life, right? You always want a university that is very stable, has been around for a long time, because you want that university to always be around as you grow in your career. You also want a university who's been around for a long time, because remember, the alumni network is another big resource. So if a university has been around for more than 80, 100 years, imagine the number of alumni who can help you, who will recognize where you are from. There may be one working in the company, or many more than one working in the company that you're interested in the industry or the country or the city. So always look for a university that has been around for a long time. It gives you history, it gives you quality, because now you know that this university is solid. It gives you a lot of recognition, and it basically gives you a big, wide network. Alliant has been around for 100 years. I actually like to say more than 80 years, just so that you know that it has been there for longer. But I know 100 years is a very good number to remember. We have campuses all over California, 6 campuses: San Diego, Los Angeles, San Francisco, Irvine, Fresno, and Sacramento. This covers Northern California and Southern California. We have schools. So our school, meaning the school where the degrees that you are interested in is being offered from, is the business school. We are called California School of Management and Leadership, the business school. We also have schools in psychology, forensics, education, and law. We actually also have a school of medicine that's based in Mexico City. And so we don't list them here, but that tells you what? It tells you that diversity and the footprint of the university in which you will study and get a degree from. So it's really important to be in a university that has history, stability, quality, diversity, all kinds of things. Next slide, please. So I said university that has quality, and that is where you look for accreditations. Alliant is accredited by WASC, not in the last 2 to 4 years, not in the last 10 years. It has been accredited by WASC for more than 20, 30 years. More than 30 years, actually, about 35, but more than 30 years. WASC, spelled as WASC, is what we call a regional accreditation agency. And the interesting thing about US is that the regional accreditation agencies are the diamond standard. All the large universities, or the big universities you hear about, the Harvard and the Yale and the Princetons of the world, these are WASC accredited. It is the regional accreditation that is the mark of quality, not the national accreditation. National accreditations exist, many universities have it, and I don't want to beat them down, but just in terms of what is the diamond standard and the difficult accreditation, to get, achieve, and then maintain for like 35 years that Alliant has maintained it for is WASC. Look for regional accreditation, and WASC is the Western. So California is the Western region, it's the Western, W stands for Western regional accreditation. School of Management is of course also WASC accredited because WASC is the university accreditation, but also look for specialty accreditation of the business school and California School of Management and Leadership, which is the business school. We are accredited by ACBSP, that is the business area specialty accreditation. So there you have it, that is the mark of quality. WASC, the Western region accreditation, Diamond Standard, the one that is the hardest to get and maintain. We've had it for decades. And specialty accreditation, we have ACBSP. And these two give you a level of confidence and quality that you should look for. Next slide, please. All right. Just like I said, Alliant has a wide footprint: psychology, education, forensics, etc. School of Management has several degrees, so you should definitely be aware of that. We have doctoral programs, which is a DBA, Doctor in Business Administration, and a PhD in Leadership. That comes after master's programs. In terms of master's programs, we have the MBA and the MS programs. The MS programs, which is what we'll start talking about in the next slide. MS programs, we have in Information Systems and Technology, MS-IST, MS in Data Analytics, MS-DA, and MS in Healthcare Analytics, MS-HA. And certificate programs also you will see are in these management of tech fields, but I'll leave it to talking about later. You are looking for degree programs because for the areas that you're looking for, degree programs that are reputed. They often look for your master's, graduation, etc. And you will see why we say that we are very much oriented towards what students need for success. The traditional programs in business was MBA and DBA because it's master's and doctorate in business administration. But when you look at recent requirements in this industry, where are students successful? It is in the management of tech fields. So we marry the management and the tech fields, and we came up with MS in IST, data analytics, and healthcare analytics. These are not new programs, as in we launched them this year. We have launched them a few years ago, so we have absolutely got everything in terms of what is needed, what will make you a success. And this is where I will hand it over to Dr. Wester, this slide, and then more about the MS programs.
Okay, so hello everybody, I'm Dr. Wester. I want you to think about something for a second. Data. How much data do you think is out there today? A few million gigabytes worth? A few million petabytes worth? That's a lot. It sounds like a lot, right? If you were to take, say, 100 million petabytes worth of data and put it onto disks and then stack them, it'd get you to the moon. From here to the moon. You could just walk along CDs from here to the moon. But that's not how much data is out there. Today, there is 79 zettabytes of data. Now let's stack those. If you're to put all that data onto disks, how far is it going to get you? Maybe a little further than the moon? It's going to get you all the way to Mars. From here to Mars, of nothing but CDs with all that information. By the year 2025, there's going to be 150 zettabytes of data. That's 150 zettabytes of data that needs to be analyzed by analysts who are capable, by analysts who know the tools, by individuals who are interested in the STEM-related sciences of data science, data management, of data modeling, of data munging, of creating visualizations, of telling a data-driven story right, and telling it right now. Imagine the number of organizations that are lost in data. They have so much information at their fingertips. It's something they've always wanted. Access to the information, they've got it. You know what they don't have? They don't have the expertise in-house from their SMEs, their subject matter experts, to go in and help them understand what that data means and how it's relevant to their business and how it's tied monetarily to their assets, to their resources, to their revenue, and how they can optimize their products, their people, their position in the marketplace from a competitive perspective. All those things are told through the data. And so I have a question for you. How many of you are here because data excites you? Because as geeky as that sounds, it's awesome. It's kind of a fun thing. Most of you here are here today because you want a future where you get to dive into that information and tell really cool stories that CO levels can't get by themselves, and they need it. They really need it. And that's what we're here to do. In fact, that's one of my favorite things to do in my role, is to be able to teach students what to do with the information, how to gather that information together, how to extract it, how to transform it, how to load it into visualizations, how to create recommendations, how to create those stories that count, that matter, that engage your audience, that are actionable, because you need that kind of confidence in this workplace environment today. Because make no mistake about it, there are other people just like you who are also interested in data, and they're going to other schools and they will become your competitors. And so the real question is, how prepared are you going to be when you get out of your college program to competitively get a job against all those other people who are vying for those few roles that are out there? But are they very few? No, not necessarily. Many organizations are understanding more that they have to be data driven. And because of that, it resonates. They need people, they need you, but they need you at your best. And that's why you need to come to Alliant, because that's what we're preparing you for. We're preparing you to be the best. We want you to come into the program fresh, ready to go, interested, intrigued, ready to work hard, because that's what it's going to take. But I promise you that by the time you get out of this program, you will have utmost confidence in the tools, in the data, no matter how large the data set. Doesn't matter if it's 1 megabyte or if it's 1 zettabyte. Doesn't matter. You'll know how to deal with the data. And then what do you do with that information? How do you create forecast models? How do you work with statistics that can be very scary at first and seem like it has a massive, sharp spike from a learning curve perspective? And the reality is that, yeah, it's hard, but you don't do it alone. You do it in cohorts. Look around you. How many people are here? It's not just you. Fadia, it's not just you. Yakati, it's not just you, my brother. Like it's all of us here. We're in this together. I'm in this together. I believe in lifelong learning. I'm always learning. You have to be always on a path of lifelong learning when it comes to technology, because today, right now, is the slowest it will ever be in technology. Right this moment. It only speeds up from here. Look at Moore's law. Look at how quickly capacity and timetables double in terms of how much capacity can handle data, how fast you can get at that data. It keeps speeding up. This is the slowest it will ever be. Now is the time to put your foot into the marketplace. But you can't just do that without the skills. You need the trade skills. That's why these are STEM-based programs. These are programs that are going to enable you to learn all of the tricks and the techniques and the tactics needed to be successful in the role. Why? Because you got me, and because you have several other professors just like me who are geeks at heart. We talk shop, we talk dolphin, we understand the data, we love looking at data, we love the complexity in data, and we know how to break that complexity down so that it's simplified. And you will love that aspect of it. I promise you. I see it all the time in students who come in a little fearful, a little concerned. Is this going to be too hard for me? Is this the right field for me? And that's if you decide to take one of the programs that we have for data analytics. You don't have to. What if you decide, you know, data is just not for me, but I do like computer science? Guess what? We've got an information systems management degree also at the master's level. So for instance, here's something to think about. Nothing really to do with data, but COVID. The COVID crisis has impacted all of us to some degree. My dad is in the ER right now with COVID. I hope he makes it through. I've seen friends come and go because of COVID. But what's interesting is from a technology perspective, think about the amount of time that have been on people's hands who happen to be really good with technology. They've been sitting around. Many of them have lost their jobs. Some are really good at hacking. Okay, so let's put it into a stat then. What is the measure? The measure is that over the last 3 years, through the COVID pandemic up till now, data breaches, security breaches have increased by 400%. Does that tell you something about what's needed in the marketplace? Maybe not data analysts, but security specialists. We help you get there too. It's up to you. We have great degree programs. What if you don't want to go down that route per se with big organizations, but you want to do that from a healthcare perspective? What if you want to help optimize hospitals and healthcare, patient care? What if you want to help ensure that data records can be retrieved much more quickly than ever before? With PII, with personal identification information that is so sensitive, that has quality controls, that have auditory controls, audit controls or mechanisms in place that just aren't that great right now. And you want to help be able to foster better security, more valid reliability in the information that passes through from a clinic to a doctor, from a nurse to a clinician, from a patient to the doctor. All of that is also within your reach if that excites you. We have a degree in that also, Masters of Science in Healthcare Analytics. So if you're into statistics and forecasting, if you're into data modeling, if you're into algorithmic logic, if you're into just a little touch of programmatic language, where you want to see how you can apply that in a way that shows you something amazing in the information that you can share with organizations, I'll ensure you get there. My whole team will ensure you get there. This school will ensure you get there. You have a huge team that is at your disposal through your entire time at Alliant International University. It's one of the coolest places I would ever want to work. And it's also one of the coolest places you would probably ever want to be as a student, because we're deep in it. We're really deep in the data. We're deep in the science, and we like to stay at least 3 steps ahead of what's going on. We know the emerging trends. We know we know how the back end works. We know the different tools. We know what's up and coming, and we have the ability to enable you to be able to work with those tools and data. So I ask you, what kind of questions do you have for me when it comes to what kind of programs we offer, or what kind of exciting tools you get to play with, or what you'll end up as by the time you're done with this program? Ask away. This is your time, and I am listening. So whatever you want to ask, now's the time to ask. Go ahead. Sumant, I know you've got a question for me. I can see it in your eyes. What questions do you have for me? What do you even want to do? Why are you here? Sumant.
So there were some questions in the chat, and Jessica, you can help guide through them. And of course, we're open to asking new ones too.
I see one on here. Will internships also provide after course, or what about the job opportunities in MS Information Systems Technology? Yeah, so like I was saying, security engineers, many of them go through an MS in Information Systems Technology because there are courses that are geared towards cybersecurity. That's part of the program. And even if it's not cybersecurity, what if it's networking? What if you just want to figure out what's the difference between TCP and UDP? How do I utilize VLANs and wide area networks? How do I facilitate the best kind of a network? Well, we teach you how to do that too. What if it's not networking that you want to go into? What if it's something more just along the lines of systems administration, NOC or SOC, network operations, systems operations, global operations in terms of technical binding of of systems and resources. To show you how to do that too. So there are many paths you can take. It's up to you ultimately what that path is. I don't know what excites you. I can tell you what excites me, anything related to computer science, right? Like I love every aspect of every bit of computer science that you can touch. And I've just about done it all in the last 28 years. And it's still fun. It's still interesting. It's still amazing because it keeps changing. It keeps shifting, and you just adapt as you go. And so the great thing is we help build a strong foundation for you based on what's happened. And then we look to the future and we help you understand what's coming. And we prepare you for that so that it's not a surprise and that you can represent those changes as a subject matter expert, which you will be by the time you're done with these programs. You'll have the ability to roll up your sleeves confidently and sit down, perhaps with a recruiter, to show them what will help their organization drive success. And next thing you know, you're working for a big company that is multinational, that you're on an awesome team where you do a lot of it from home. Maybe you go into the office every once in a while. It's a dynamically shifting time right now when it comes to how you work in office or in Zoom from home. A lot of organizations are adapting right now as well to this. What else do we have here? Internships. Okay, so we do have practical training. And this is something that we will help you with whenever you come into the program, but ultimately it will be up to you to find these opportunities. We'll help guide you towards where these opportunities are, and you'll have to choose one. And whenever you choose one, sometimes it's not completely directly aligned with your end state goal that you have in mind. But you've got to remember that there are many pivots in that process from the time you begin to the time you're out there as a professional. Okay, mine pivoted pretty crazily. So whenever I first got started, I wanted to go directly into a big ISP like a Net Zero or an Earthlink network. Back then, those were the big ones. And I ended up at Net Zero, but not doing what I wanted to do. I ended up being a call center support specialist for basic internet accounts where they were getting double billed by the company incorrectly and they needed help with their billing. Basically a billing finance specialist. That's not what I wanted, but it's what I started as. But I moved very quickly. I was able to pivot off of that information based on who I met. And the more I got to interact with others at that organization, a role came up in web support. So I ended up a web support specialist, helping with CGI, helping with with setting up scripts that would work on the front end from the back end. And I got pretty good at that. And then I was able to get an internship separately because I was working on my schooling at the same time. And the internship, of all things, was in politics. It was working for Congressman James Rogan when he led the impeachment trial against Bill Clinton, former President Bill Clinton. And all of a sudden, I was put in a position where I was able to take on their web needs, their website needs, because the person who handled their website went on maternity leave because she was having a baby. And they needed somebody desperately, and I happened to work at Net Zero, and they were like, "Hey, you work nearby. You're in, the web stuff. We know you do web support stuff. Can you do that for us?" I was like, "Sure." Next thing I know, I'm fulfilling a procurement subcontract for the United States Congress, House of Representatives through HIR, House Information Resources, making $80 per billable hour, working 60 hours a week. All through my summer, I walked away with almost $100,000. I'd never seen that much money before in my life, but that's what I walked away with. Got a nice car, got a nice house, finished getting through school. It's amazing, and that's all beginner stuff. That's before I even actually got into my career. That was just the beginning. So what will your beginning be? I wonder.
So I wanted to add to that. Just like I was saying, always be in a university that has stability, quality, recognition, accreditation. I want to say exactly what Dr. Wester said too. Be in a field, work in a field that is very wide, but also going up. And right now, data, as Dr. Wester said, data, anything to do with data is going up because it's any size of company, any size of any industry, and data is data analytics. Information systems and technology, because systems and technology is similar, or healthcare analytics, all three are in the same going up field because it's going up in terms of needed. It's going up in terms of number of jobs out there, and contribution, all kinds of things. So this is, you have picked these MS programs that we are discussing are the ones that are aligning with this upward trend.
Yes. And there was one question. Oh, go ahead.
Oh yeah, I just want to add to everything with the internships, such good information on the types of internships and the quality. I want to mention just a little bit on the government side and the visa side, because it's really important to note, depending on how long you've been looking for programs in the US, you know that things on the visa side can change quickly with our politics, right? Now is a really good time to come. The Biden administration is working really hard to bring in new talent, especially for the STEM fields, the science, technology, engineering, and math. As you probably know, all these programs are STEM programs. So you have the opportunity following your studies for a STEM OPT extension. So in the US, when you finish a degree program, regardless of what it is, you have the option for 12 months of full-time training in your field. For the STEM programs, the STEM extension currently is an additional 2 years. So you can have up to 3 years following your studies to work in this field. And so like Dr. Wester said, that we need good talent, and you don't, in the US, you don't, if you work hard and you're innovative, you don't stick in the same position too long. You can rise up, like Dr. Kumar said too. So 3 years is quite a bit of time to gain that experience and to gain those connections. So I just wanted to mention that on the visa side, that's another opportunity right now with the, in the US, is that, and at Alliant, that you have this STEM OPT extension as part of these programs.
One of the questions is, tell us about the job opportunities of data analytics. What's interesting is data analytics is just one small part of the puzzle. You've got data management, which is a big part of it. You've got business intelligence, which is a big part of it. You've got informatics, which is a big part of it. And all these are relevant to these roles for what kind of jobs are out there. So for instance, if you want to help an organization understand its competitive landscape and where it sits and how competitors are competing, well, a lot of that falls within data analytics. But if you want to look at how an organization's internal departments are collaborative, or how they're either flexibly loose, or how they're trending, how well they're doing as a group compared to other groups, where you're going to look a lot more at the business intelligence side of the equation, and a lot of internal metrics to see whether or not the burn rate or the attrition rate is really high, whether or not there are ways to slow things down so that they can focus on monetization efforts. And this doesn't even touch the competitive aspects. There's a whole other, what about just looking at consumers? What about just basic market research? That's a whole other, you can work in the marketing department as a marketing analyst. You can even work within data management where you're the one that helps decide what technologies are going to come in-house. You're going to work with these different third parties to figure out if they're the right fit for your company. You're going to have a very large budget that you're going to control, and you're going to work with the contracts. And maybe that's something that's interesting to you, is just developing the relationships with these different vendors so that you guys are cutting edge for your organization intra-department, right? And then also, a lot of times you partner, big companies partner with other companies, and they need analysts because these other companies have analysts that are working on things, but sometimes they get so inundated they still need help. And so you come in as an analyst that helps bridge that gap for fostering good, collaborative working relationships through bridging. And maybe that comes through becoming an expert at a tool like Domo, which does just that. It enables you to see analytics, but from a bridging perspective. Or maybe it's that you really do just want to be a general analyst. You just want to work, with whatever teams need an analyst. And so you'll work within an analytics department, but then you'll be called to support different teams throughout the organization based on different themes that they're working on, different products that they're evaluating, different tools that they're trying to understand, trying to get the measures, how are they tracking those things? Maybe they aren't, and they need help figuring out how to track. So you have people in roles where all they do is universal tracking. right? And universal tracking, by the way, from Google is phasing out. So you have to be on top of that too. And so that's a role in and of itself. And that's somebody that's going to work with somebody who creates dashboards. So maybe your thing is visualizations. Maybe you want to be able to show data in a way that's very compelling. And most people just don't have the time to do that, but you can, and you're going to do that because you're going to be presenting in front of large groups worldwide. Maybe you're one of those kind of analysts. Well, that's a job in and of itself as well. I mean, so the highest I got with a really, really big company was National Director of Advanced Analytics, Research and Development. And really all that meant was I was a people person. I rarely got involved with the clients directly, but as a people person, it means that what you're dealing with is just the whole dynamics of what happens on your team. And so maybe management is where you want to go. Maybe management where you're a manager over a number of individuals who are all subject matter experts in their own.
I think we lost Dr. Wester for a
We
second.
can continue with other questions. I was looking at the questions. Jessica, do you think there are aspects that have not been covered?
Yeah, I want to go over a couple things. Just an announcement first in case we run out of time. EduConnect USA is planning a visa webinar to talk about the visa process. So look out for that in the next week or two. Also, just to remind you that we provide personal assistance with the visa process. So I'm going to put Roella's email in the chat again. So if you have specific questions or you want to schedule a visa interview prep session with Roella, you're very welcome to do that. The visa process is still a challenge. It's backed up, from COVID, from everything like that. So we really want to provide you with as much support on that as possible. So we have this webinar coming up. We can, Roella will meet with you before your interview, but it's really important that to answer some of the questions that we've had, once you get admitted to Alliant, that is when Alliant is able to issue you your I-20, and that's the document that you need to take to the embassy or consulate. I-20s can be issued within 120 days before the program starts. So just keep that in mind. So if you're admitted within that 120 days is when your I-20 can be issued. And we will help make sure that you get that on time. You really, really, really want to make sure that you are scheduling your visa interview as soon as possible. I know for a lot of places, it's hard to get dates. So it's hard to kind of answer a lot of these questions because it really varies based on the country that you're coming from and when you're applying. So those are things that we could answer individually. But just in general, you want to get that visa date as soon as possible because they can be really hard to get. If you are experiencing trouble getting your visa dates, make sure to ask us. We do this all the time. So we usually have the tips and tricks on when the dates tend to get released, things like that, that we've just noticed. So be sure to make sure that we're here to help you with those questions. And Dr. Wester, I was just filling the space when you were out for a second. So I don't know if you finished your spot.
Did everybody hear how I closed it out so dramatically, dropped the mic, walk away?
Yeah.
Okay, are there any other questions that you have for me about the programs, about the classes, about the coursework, about the tools, about the types of information you'll work with, about your cohort, about the teams that you'll be on, what it can do for you in the future? Anjum, Pias, Sumant, Yakati, Shivali, Nisam, like what questions do you have for me?
I see that someone has interest in MSIST, Information Systems and Technology. Someone else has MSDA, Data Analytics. So any of the MS programs, if you're interested in, now is the time to talk more. And of course, you can always write later as well. How sports will be.
Yeah, Yakati, I don't understand that one. What's do you mean like, are there analysts that work within the sports field? And the answer is, oh yeah. Yeah, in fact, one of my buddies works for the NFL. He's a data analyst for the National Football League here in the United States. So yeah, there are opportunities. It depends on the sport. Like what are you into? Soccer, football, baseball, basketball, ice hockey. I mean, there's a lot of different volleyball, Olympic sports. They all need analysts. Yes, because they have these large leagues And there's lots of data, right? I mean, you've got information, profile information, including
football teams. He's looking for football teams.
Football. So if when you say, okay, football, soccer, football, for us, football is, you throw the pigskin. Yeah, so you have stats for players, right? It doesn't matter what sport you're in, you got to look at the stats. And there's a whole range of statistics unique to sports. Like for instance, in baseball, I forget what it's called. It's cybermetrics, if I remember right, for the Angels, that use predictive forecasting based on how fast they can get to base, how many times they can get to base, how many runs they can get. They don't even have to be home run hitters. That's not what it's all about. It's about looking at a lot of the smaller metrics cumulatively to see an aggregate across several measures whether this is a good player who's going to perform well versus somebody who just hits home runs, because you don't know they're going to hit a home run or not.
Yeah.
So same thing.
And since I see the names here and kind of, I can guess that there's a lot of folks from India, cricket is the popular game here. And they know how much data is based in terms of predicting. It's big money. All sports are big money, and football as well.
Yeah, especially when you're trying to create relationships with marketing partners who are going to pay lots of money for a Coca-Cola ad, but they're not going to do that for just any team. And so how do you get your team positioned into a place where it's, it's driving that kind of relationship where, marketers want to come in, and how much money are they actually going to provide and for how long? And how is that going to be any better than a smaller organization who puts more advertisements up? And so SEM, SEO, SEM, search engine optimization, search engine marketing optimizations, that's big in analytics. How do you drive revenue through advertising and through market share?
And I see there are some questions for Jessica probably. When will the classes start? How accommodation is for students, and approximate date of getting I-20 again?
Right now, let's do this. Come on to San Diego.
Yeah, so as far as the admissions process, so like I mentioned, the very first thing you need to do is to make sure you're admitted. So you'll submit all your documents. We can assist you as much as you need. Get admitted to Alliant. It's typically within 2 weeks of your admission date that you get your I-20. Often, I always say 2 weeks, it's often shorter than that. But that's as long as you are within that 120 days window. That's the other thing that we can't issue I-20s beyond that. So just keep that in mind. If you apply early, which is really great, then you'll get your I-20 within that 120-day window. And if you have any issues with that, you didn't receive your I-20, make sure to email Roella, and she'll make sure you get that back, get everything you need. The other question I saw is regarding housing. So just note that there is no on-campus housing at Alliant, but there's a lot of housing in the area. And this is something else that I can give you kind of general information, and then we can give you more specific information based on your needs. So the students typically everybody has a different kind of standard of living or what you're looking for. So our students kind of fall into two categories. We have students who want to live closer to campus. That's the most important thing to them, that they live near campus. There is housing around campus. Alliant San Diego campus is beautiful. It's in this kind of suburban safe area with lots of nature surrounding it. Really nice place to live, very quiet. However, we have some students who prefer it not to be so quiet where they live. And they tend to live in San Diego, in downtown San Diego, which is a wonderful place. I'm actually in Los Angeles, and we talk about how in Los Angeles, that's where we go to kind of get away. Like it's super touristic, really beautiful outdoor cafes right by the beach. So if you're looking for more activities, if it's more important that you live around that, then you can always live downtown and then commute to Alliant. It's about, depending on traffic, 10-15 minute drive, depending on where you're living. We also have students who live in La Jolla. There's a lot of other university students in that area. So it really depends on kind of what you're looking for. There's a lot of options, and same with cost. If cost is an issue for you, it can be really cost effective to live with other students and share a room. And then typically, so the housing that we recommend, if you're sharing a room, starts at about $800 a month. And then if you prefer your own room, your own house, you know, we have students who are coming and going who share resources. The sky's the limit. You could pay whatever you want in San Diego, but there are you know, cost-effective living options for you. And that's something that we could kind of figure out with you one-on-one, point you into some resources depending on what you're looking for.
And one of the questions was on what courses can they expect when they first come in for the first term. We're on a carousel rotation. And so you may come in and have an emphasis right off the bat on algorithmic logic, or you may come in and it may be on big data tools, or you may come in, it may be on Python development and creating data visualizations. So it's a mixed bag. You don't know until you actually get your start date what those first couple courses are going to be, but you will hit all the great courses from that program. You just don't necessarily do it in a particular order.
Yes, of course, you'll cover all the courses in the curriculum. It's just that the order might be, you'll do it 2 months later. So we are on what is called a term calendar, and the other calendar is semester calendar. A semester calendar is every 6 months you do a new course, so every 4 months actually. And terms is every 2 months. We're getting close to the hour, to the end of the hour, but I wanted to say that Jessica already has put the email for the contact, which is rcanete@educonnectusa.com. If you're interested, you should copy it there, so that copy that one so that you can keep writing. But you can also write to any one of the team. And the team, as you know, is Jessica Record. You see her, Aaron Wester, you see him, Radhika Kulkarni, you see her, and me. You can write to any one of us. We will support you. That's the advantage of having a team that is hands-on, that is looking for just one thing, which is your success. You know, I tell every student that we have that I succeed only when you succeed. Otherwise, my time is wasted. So we are here working for you so that you succeed. Jessica or Radhika, do you want to wrap up?
I just want to say one thing. If you want to refer back to this meeting, I am going to be posting it on our social media handles. You can just type into LinkedIn, Facebook, or Instagram, EduConnect USA, and you should be able to find our page pretty easily. So I will be posting it in case you ever want to refer, and we will be sending a link through email. So.
And I have a couple personal questions that are in the chat that I might not be able to get to, but please feel free to reach out to me by email or reach out to Roella. We'll make sure we get all your questions answered.
And also we have great food. If you haven't tried Mexican food yet, fajitas, burritos, tamales, tacos, I mean, the real stuff, we're right on the border. Like, we have the best freaking Mexican food in the world. So.
All right, folks. Have a wonderful day if the daytime is remaining, or a wonderful night or evening. And be sure to follow your timeline, because now's the time to start looking for, get admitted, then look for visa dates, and absolutely contact anyone in the team if you have more questions. But we are so glad to see that you could join us.
Yeah, thank you so much. We want you at Alliant. Please come.
Thank you, everybody. Make sure to keep an eye on Radhika's postings, and we'll have more webinars on visa process and more information for you as you apply and as you go through the process.
All right. Bye-bye, everyone.
Thank you. Goodbye.